Brit Hume is a Fox News senior political analyst. In fact, he's, I think, the only one. We're happy to have him join us tonight. Brit, this is making me cynical. I thought when that January 6th thing happened, it was bad. I hate it when people break stuff. You shouldn't riot at a federal building, period. But the disparity in the way that those rioters were treated as compared to the way the rioters last summer were treated is just too much, and it's making me feel like equal application of the law is dead.
If this were covered, Tucker, the way the riots of last summer were covered, it would be described as mostly peaceful. And I think to a great extent it was peaceful. The picture that you've shown of the people who were in the Capitol building milling around, the guy walking around the Senate chamber with the horns on and so on, most of them were peaceful, but some obviously were not.
Right.
And that explains the nightmare experience that the undermanned and overwhelmed Capitol police officers who testified today had to go through. They obviously had a terrible experience and considered it a near thing. But there is certainly a disparity between the way that this event was covered and the way it's been responded to politically, and the way that the more serious rioting of last summer, with more deaths to show for it, have been treated.
70 people were shot in Chicago this weekend, which is to say 2 days ago. 70 people. I wonder if Adam Kinzinger will cry about that, or maybe not, because it's not about him. I mean, I wonder if there's ever been a greater display of narcissism on Capitol Hill. And that's saying a lot, but like ever in history.
I have noticed in the reactions of some members of Congress and some former members of Congress whom I've spoken to about these events, a very intense personal reaction. They are the ones who are inclined to consider that this incident, this riot, and it was an ugly riot, to be sure, and disturbing, but they considered it had been an insurrection. It was an insurrection that failed pretty spectacularly, if that's what it was, when you consider that the event that they were trying to interfere with, which was the formal counting of the votes for president, went off later that day. It was delayed, but that was all they did. That doesn't strike me as very close to overthrowing the government, which is what a lot of people claim that these rioters and insurrectionists tried to do.
Does it surprise you that the Capitol Hill police, apparently the personal bodyguards of the United States Congress, has a budget that's more than twice that of the entire city of Atlanta and about $100 million more than the entire city of Detroit, one of the most dangerous places in the Western Hemisphere? Like, what is that? I
got to say to you, Tucker, that I grew up in Washington and lived there most of my life, and it is the most policed city in the United States, with more different police forces active. I mean, you have the D.C. police. You have the Capitol Police, and that's a very large force when it's deployed with everybody out. You got the Park Police, which is no small force either. You got the FBI. You got the Uniformed Services Division of the Secret Service. You got the Aqueduct Police. I mean, you got the U.S. Mint Police. It goes on and on and on, and the total budget for it has got to be absolutely staggering. No, it doesn't quite surprise me that the Capitol Police budget would be so large. What's surprising is that so few of them were there ready and fully prepared to meet the onslaught that came in the aftermath of the Trump rally, when those people went streaming down to Capitol Hill. And there's a lot to be investigated here, Tucker, about just why it was that they were so unprepared and undermanned, underarmed, and so forth to deal with that. Because had they been properly deployed, I think we could all agree that these people would not have gotten into the Capitol, and what happened would not have happened.
Not a single member of Congress was injured. Hundreds and more than 1,000 Americans have died of murder since then. Maybe they should spend more time worrying about the rest of the country. That's my personal view. You don't have to endorse that, but I appreciate your analysis. Brit Hume, thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.